All right, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Silicon Valley Health Institute. We're formerly known as the Smart Life Forum. My name is Randy Kunke, and I'll be moderating tonight. Our goal is to bring you cutting-edge, life-saving, and health-enhancing information to you that you can use from now to for the rest of your life. And if you're a first-time visitor, I want to especially welcome you here. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. We are funded by memberships and donations, so please consider joining. It's $10 to attend one evening at the door, and is also, I always get a little bit nervous when I start this thing. What?
60 a year.
60 a year, right, $60 a year. And you can come as a guest of a current member for free, as a one-time thing, okay? All right. A couple of logistical things I'd like to go over. If you have a cell phone, please turn it off or silence it. We are streaming live on the web, so if you don't have a microphone, the people on the web and the people who might watch the recording later can't hear you. So if you are asking a question or making a comment, please wait for me to bring you the microphone. All right. Then the all-important announcement, the restrooms are out the door to the left, down the hall, a bit of a hike, but you'll find them. All right. And we have a really, really terrific panel tonight. It's our theme for tonight is New Approaches to Cancer Prevention and Treatment. And we have 4 really great speakers. But before we do that, as is our tradition at the beginning of these meetings, I'd like to open up the floor for comments, questions, and announcements. So people have a question you'd like to ask of the group, announcement about something you think is interesting, or something that you're working on. I'd like to now make it available to you. So, Steve.
Sometimes they can't shut me up. So 3 announcements. One, I've been hosting a meetup group at my house on the 3rd Sunday of every month, and for the summer, first-time visitors are free. So the 3rd Sunday of next month, if you want to attend that meetup and have a one-on-one conversation with me during a 3-hour session from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock on the 3rd Sunday, by all means go to Meetup and sign up and come see me. Second one is, what's the name of the meetup? It's anything you want to talk about. It's nutrition, health, alternative medicine. It's open-ended. You come with the topics.
What's the name of the meetup?
The meetup is called Project Wellbeing. And that's not projectwellbeing.com, which is my website. It's the Project Wellbeing meetup group on meetup.com. So it's a little bit confusing. But if you track down my phone number and call me up and tell me that you're coming, I'll expect you, even if you don't sign up at Meetup. Second, for the last 2 days, I've been attending the SENS conference on rejuvenation biotechnology up at the airport. A group of people from all over the world getting together to talk about aging and therapies relating to things like constructing artificial organs and things like that, high-tech, cutting-edge stuff that's really fascinating. And there's 2 findings that I learned about during this conference that I'd like to mention. One has to do with a new prospective mechanism for Alzheimer's disease involving a defect in the skull where the olfactory bulb in the brain connects to the sensors in the nose. There's a plate, a very, very thin bone plate there that has holes in it that the nerves grow through. And if that becomes damaged by, for example, a head injury or somebody's a boxer or something like that, that those holes seal over and the cerebral spinal fluid can't exit through that. So this is a normal way that cerebral spinal fluid drains from the brain, and when that's blocked, it puts pressure on the neighboring areas, which are the areas that are first affected in Alzheimer's disease. So I thought this was pretty cool. If you want to ask me questions about this at the break, I'll be wandering around. The second one is that after decades and decades This looks like, from my preliminary analysis, that scientists have finally figured out how lithium works in bipolar disorder. So ask me if you'd like more information on that.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. Okay. Other questions, announcements? Lady back.
Hi, I have a petition against the referendum, a referendum to get on the ballot in November 16th next year that will give parents personal exemption rights in regard to the vaccine mandate that has just passed. So it is simply that. So if any of you are willing to sign, I do have sheets here, and I would appreciate it. I have some for the close county, Santa Clara. We sign by county, but I would appreciate it of trying to get personal exemption back.
How many people have already signed it? All right.
Okay, good. All right, more.
I think they need, it's widespread.
Hold on. Sorry.
It's throughout the whole state, and I believe they need something like 450,000 signers to accommodate for the 1/3 over that often gets, and they've only had about 6 weeks to get them. So we appreciate your help.
Okay. All right. Question here? Comment?
We just read in this public citizen publication called Worst Pills, Best Pills. A recent study provides the best evidence to date linking strong anticholinergics, certain medications indicated for seasonal allergies, depressions, insomnia, overactive bladder, and other illnesses to an increased risk for dementia in older adults, and it's increased by up to 63% risk.
All right. Okay, any other questions, comments, announcements? No? Oh, one back here. Okay.
Hi, I'm Thomas. I'm an out-of-town member from Houston, Texas. I've been following this group for a couple of years, and this is the first time I've been wanting to come to see in person, and this is my first time.
Great.
And hopefully not the last. I have 3 questions, if you have time to answer them. First one is, I had an optometrist look at the blood vessel in my eyes, because when they dilate your pupils, they can see the blood vessel in the back of your eyes. She said that the blood vessels are fine, but the lens are turning yellow. So that's my first question, that if you guys have any suggestion on how to deal with the lens of your eyes turning yellow. The second question is I have a meridian pulse wave machine that can measure the stiffness of your arteries. And I found out that my artery is a little bit stiffer than what I would like. The approximate age is about 65 years old. So I wonder if you guys have any suggestion to deal with stiffness of the arteries. And my third question, the last one, is for any supplement or anything to deal with hepatitis B. That's hepatitis B. So those are my questions. Thank you.
Okay, did somebody write those down?
I did.
Okay. Anybody want to volunteer some answers on that?
Give them the cure.
I like it. All right. Throw this away. Well, where hepatitis is concerned, I wouldn't be meaning to boast or anything. I'm Dr. Cunin, by the way. But it's clearly embedded in the question is the idea that hepatitis is very difficult to treat and to cure. And at least in this doctor's experience, not pretending by any means to be a hepatologist, the application of orthomolecular principles and studying the literature has been very encouraging, starting with the latest hot subject, which I happen to be embedded in myself, which is called methylation. And not Barack Obama, but Dr. Barack, University of Nebraska, and his colleague Beckenhauser back in the 1980s did a number of studies showing the reversal of steatosis, which is called otherwise known as fatty liver, with remarkable results using a somewhat neglected nutrient called betaine. Those of you who have stomach troubles may recognize it as betaine hydrochloride, and you think it's an acid for your tummy and for your digestion. But actually, it's a remarkable multi-purpose nutrient that in the methylation will bypass the need for vitamin B12 and folic acid, two expensive vitamins, and replace it without even requiring but one enzyme rather than the whole cascade that are a part of the methylation pathways having to do with folate, starting with MTHFR and going on into the MTR, which is and MTRR, which together make up the MSR. And you already are you asleep yet? And goes on from there to the MAT and the CBS, and that's going lightly on it, I mean, because there's another dozen after that. Here you have BHMT, a zinc-dependent enzyme, which will, under the interaction with betaine in the liver, will resolve homocysteine, which is a toxic byproduct of protein metabolism, and in the process restore the lipid metabolism through choline, which is an essential part of the cell membranes of every cell in the body, but particularly in the liver, where the hepatitis virus now is taking over with inflammation and with destruction, apoptosis, and various other mechanisms that kill cells. But here, you get a reversal with betaine as the primary, not the only, but the primary factor that makes the difference. You can do the same thing with SAMI, but it's much more complicated and more disruptive. Betaine is safer, cheaper, and better. So that's for starters. Then, of course, we all know you get into your herbals with the milk thistle is one of the premier, but it's not the only ones by a long shot. Curcumin is becoming more and more popular. And we could go on from there. The work of Berkson, who showed us that lipoic acid and selenium, particularly selenocysteine, combined by themselves seem to reverse hepatitis C. Wow. You put it all together, and lo and behold, people that are on death row, so to speak, turn around and have a normal liver. I have, in my own little practice, I'm not a big entrepreneurial doc, I have at least 5 cases who are terminal or had downhill courses, and they're not in their first year, they're in their 20th year, still alive, but quality of life gone. One guy about to lose his job, he was ready to die, etc. So I mean, I'm convinced. You can see it reverse even without the selenium and the lipoid. So in other words, let's hear it for hepatitis. It's not quite as bad a challenge in medicine as you may have been told.
And we had, were you going to answer his question?
Oh, no.
You were going to ask another question, so very quickly, the other ones were yellow lens of the eye. Okay. Any responses to that, or? Sure.
What, folks again?
What's that? I'm going to steal your mic.
Well, you gotta get that microphone.
The other microphone is somewhere else. There's a therapy that uses megavitamins for treatment of cardiovascular diseases in general, generally known as the RATH protocol, but it's basically collagen therapy, and it involves featuring vitamin C as a core nutrient to get it up to maybe half of the way between what humans naturally produce and what a mammal of our body weight would produce, if we had that kind of ability, combined with maybe some amino acids that are involved in collagen synthesis, like lysine and glycine and proline, and then potentially a couple of other factors involving like silicon and copper. And copper is a very important one that can be deficient for a variety of reasons, both nutritionally and based on chronic inflammation. So that has been my observation, that people who have weak collagen will often show arterial stiffening as a result of that, and that can be also based on fibrin, which is deposition, which is actually fairly easy to dissolve with nattokinase and lumbrokinase and other kinds of enzymes like that. So this is all over-the-counter nutrition therapy, megavitamin therapy, and I'll let somebody else deal with the question of lenses.
Okay, if someone's going to answer lens, it has to be really, really short.
The lens and the vessel thing is a degenerative process. Both their versions of microscopic scar formation, lack of detoxification. So go on an anti-inflammatory diet, you probably do as well as any therapy, but certainly the collagen is weak, but it induces an inflammatory reaction, which is really pro scar formation. So you end up ultimately with more stiffness due to the production of abnormal collagen. So if it's the same person, is it the same person? Yeah. Oh, so post-viral autoimmunity induces an pro-inflammatory state, which induces a bit on the, instead of repair, you're on the degenerative side. So everything you can do to stay on the repair side is good.
Thank you. Okay. One related? Okay. She's handing you the microphone. So if you could.
Sorry. You mentioned the anti-inflammatory diet. Do you have any diets that you recommend, like if I wanted to go research that?
We can send you our version of an anti-inflammatory diet. Just ask us for it.
All right. And you've been holding the mic for a long time. You have the last question there. This is
Hello.
great.
Okay. This is more of an announcement. I just wanted everyone to know that I just finished a book by a Dr. Clark Elliott, who's a professor of artificial intelligence and cognitive science at DePaul University in Chicago. He suffered a concussion in 1999 and was amazingly enough managed to continue to function as a professor, a father, partner for the next 8 years after being told by one top expert neurologist after another, there's nothing we can do. You just have to learn to live with the symptoms, which were, I mean, how we got through it is amazing to me. But he ultimately discovered 2 women doctors, a neurooptometrist and a cognitive scientist, I believe, who work with brain impaired people and learning disabled people, and by altering lenses and glasses can shine light into your eyes so that your retina receives it to activate a healthier part of your brain, which can then take over for the poorly functioning part. They've helped thousands of people over the years. His recovery is almost complete after phases of these glasses, as well as the cognitive doctor just gave him literally thousands of puzzles to trace and to connect dots, and to which he was very good about staying on top of. But it's like a miracle, and his book is called The Ghost in My Brain. ClarkElliott.com. If you go on his website, it's just one of the most amazing things I've ever read, and incredibly offers tons of hope for people with concussions, which I didn't realize were long-lasting. I thought it was brain damage or concussion. I thought it was temporary, unless it was a cumulative thing.
Yeah.
But fascinating stuff.
Thank you.
Okay.
Say the name of the book and the author again.
The Ghost in My Brain.
The Ghost in My Brain.
And it's Clark Elliott.
Okay.
Is ClarkElliott.com.
I read a very interesting book a couple of years ago. I bought one of those brain training bits of software, and in the package came this book called The Brain That Changes Itself, something Frontiers from Neuroscience, about like that. And it was amazing the kinds of healing kinds of things they documented. And yeah, a lot of it has to do with you keep going. There's 2 months people show improvement, and then after that they don't seem to show improvement, but you got to keep going. There's no external improvement, but something's happening. So if you keep the training going, then 6 months in a year, things start showing up that are unexpected. So thank you for sharing that. So with that, I'd like to get on with our panel.